from about 10 o'clock onwards. So yes, we look forward to all of y'all's association. It's a weekend, a Sunday, so hopefully you can come and spend the entire day at the temple and in that way be involved in service and in glorification of Lord Nrsimhadev. Thank you very much. We'll now hand over to His Holiness Partha Sarathi Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Om Agyanatimarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshmatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didanti Sambadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapatakamalom Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Shri Jivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishavitam Scha. Everyone. Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kansha Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadine Nivashesha Sanyavadi Raskachati Satarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. Krishna has many incarnations. He's referred to as Avatari. And Avatari means the source of all incarnations. His incarnations are compared to the waves in the ocean. You go to the Umshlanga beach or Blue Lagoon, if you're a little courageous, and count the waves. You can't. So the incarnations of God. Some are more famous than others. Regarding Leela avatars, Ramchandra is the most famous. But Nrsimhadev is also very famous, and Prabhupada introduced the worship of Nrsimhadev into our society. I think it was 1972. and the devotees left the Los Angeles temple, I understand, my memory is right, and they went to San Francisco, which is where the original Rath Yatra took place in, when was it? 1967. And some hooligans threw a man-made bomb into the Los Angeles temple. No one was hurt seriously, but Prabhupada at that point introduced the Nrsimha prayers. That's what I've understood. So within our ISKCON mission, we have like a ISKCON culture. And the worship of Nrsimha is emphasized and very much appreciated. Lord Nrsimha. One cannot approach Krishna directly. Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 23, that Krishna is the property of the pure, uncontaminated devotees. You cannot approach Krishna directly. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya designated himself as the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. That's word for word. Pure devotees approach the servants of Lord Chaitanya, the servants of Lord Chaitanya, and in this way the Lord is pleased. So when we're talking about the worship of Lord Nrsimha, you can't separate it from the worship of Radha Radhanath Ki Jai. You cannot separate it from the worship of Prahlad. So we cannot approach Krishna directly, but we can approach his devotee. So those who are interested in developing a relationship with Lord Nrsimha must follow in the footsteps of Prahlad. It's called Anugraha, following in the footsteps of Lord Nrsimha's most prominent devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. So, the living entity, every living entity in this Brahmanda. What's a Brahmanda? Ladies? Brahmanda. It's a material universe. And we are living in a Brahmanda. And the circumference of this particular diameter. The diameter is 500 million yojans. So what is a yojan? Oh, best of the pandits. A yojan is 8 miles. So you're looking at basically 4 billion miles diameter. And this particular universe happens to be the what? Smallest. Therefore, Lord Brahma has 4 heads. So, every jiva, every living entity in this Brahmanda, we look out of the window, the trees, we see bottle brush, everything, mosquitoes. Every living entity has relationship with Krishna. And either we're in Shantaras, which is neutrality, or in Dasyaras, which is servant, or in Sakyaras, which means friend, or Vatsalya Ras, which means parental, or Madhurya Ras. Then, of course, there's subdivisions. Like in Sakya Ras, there's another 4 categories, but these are the overall relationships. Now, we don't know what is our relationship with Krishna. We don't even know if perhaps we have an eternal relationship with Ramchandra, like Hanuman. Hanuman respects Krishna. He respects Nrsimhadev, but really he's only interested in who? Who's he interested in? Ramchandra. Prahlad respects Krishna, who plays the flute at Vamsivat, and Prahlad respects Ramchandra, but he's really only meditating on that one Istadev. Istadev means your worshipful Lord, and that worshipful Lord is Nrsimhadev. So I mentioned the 5 primary relationships. Then there are 7 secondary. 7 secondary. Now they're secondary. And one of them is Bhaya, fear. Another one is Adbhuta, astonishment. Another one is Vira, shiveriness. This is Bhishma. Bhishma was a very chivalrous person on the chariot. He was a Kshatriya. So he was the servant, that's his main relationship, but it was embellished with the idea of meeting Krishna on the battlefield. Very chivalrous. Another one is gostlessness. Another one is hasya, laughter. And the one I wanted to particularly talk about is rodra, anger. Anger. So Nrsimhadev, generally we think of him in that rodra, in that angry mood. I've understood one can worship Nrsimhadev in the mood of when he was with Prahlad, and Prahlad is sitting on his lap. So then the anger is very much reduced. And then another conception is Nrsimhadev with Lakshmi. So obviously with Lakshmi, the anger is also down, right? You're not going to get angry with your eternal consort. And then, of course, Ugra, or fierce Nrsimhadev, with Hiranyakashipu. So generally we think of Nrsimhadev in this Rudra, anger. Everything we experience, Janmadi Asyayata, the absolute truth is the source of everything. We see in human society, people get angry. Right now there are conflicts going on in different parts of the world. Russia, Ukraine. Anger. Anger is being displayed. So, where does that anger come from? Something can't come from nothing. You agree? So, where does that anger come from? The absolute truth. The absolute truth is the source of all emotions. And anger is an emotion. As conditioned souls, we don't like that anger. But anger can also be spiritual. You can use anger in the service of God. Can you give me an example? Hanuman, jumping to Sri Lanka, was very angry and killed many of Ravana's men. That's an example of anger. But that anger purified him. But when a conditioned soul like you or me, when we experience anger, it contaminates us. What are the symptoms of anger? You clench your fists, isn't it? Your blood pressure, your BP, it goes up perhaps to 200. Short breath, anger. You squint your eyes, anger. The eyes become reddish. You start sweating. And then adrenaline starts coming into your body. And you become and the mind becomes very agitated. So this contaminates the consciousness. There's no doubt. In the material world, anger is contaminating. And in a rage of anger, what can you do? You can attack someone. You can kill someone. Is it not? And sometimes you don't even remember what you did. We have this statement now, road rage. Have you seen it or experienced it? Road rage. You become so angry because someone didn't put their indicator on and pulled off to the right or something. And they have air rage. Someone is on an aircraft and they're not wearing their mask. Or you can't get into the toilet. Air rage. So, fits of rage. And then people do things they regret. So in the material world, the material emotion of anger is not favorable for bhakti. But in spiritual life, anger can be used. And the perfect example is Hanuman. Anger. Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who is God, when he saw Jagai and Madai attacking, it was Madai who was attacking Lord Nityananda, what did he do? Did he sit peacefully? He became angry. When Krishna is vilified, or when advanced Vaishnava is vilified, or Guru, you have to become angry. And if you don't become angry, you get a reaction. But it doesn't necessarily mean we should kill the person. Just because someone blasphemes Lord Krishna, it's not socially acceptable to pull out your parabellum and shoot the person in the head. Better you just leave. But anger is still there. The point is, I'm saying anger is there, but you just control it a little, because obviously it's not socially acceptable. And people do blaspheme, etc. So Krishna also wanted to experience anger in a more direct way. So he arranged that his two associates, Jai and Vijay, were actually from Vaikuntha, come down to the material world. So this was not Mahamaya, this is Yoga Maya. And they took birth first as Hiranyakashipu and his brother, Hiranyaksha. And the Lord killed them both as Vraha and Nrsimhadev. And then again they appeared as Sisyupal, was it Dantavakra? In Krishna Leela. And Krishna also killed them. Of course, killing them, they became liberated. It's not bad. If I could become liberated, if I was killed by the Lord, I would be the first in line, definitely. And then a third appearance, Jai and Vijay. Jai and Vijay. Sorry, Jago Madhu. Jagai and Madai. Jagai and Madai. So, the Lord himself wanted to experience in a more direct way this particular emotion of anger and fighting. And one example Prabhupada gives is that a father may play with his son, and the son may hit the father in a playful mood, and the father may pretend to fall on the ground, and then the son jumps on the father's back, and etc. So it's playful. So in the same way, Lord Nrsimhadev wanted to experience playful fighting and anger with another living entity. And he can only do that with his own devotees. Therefore, Jai and Vijay became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. What you pray to Nrsimhadev for is entirely up to your adhikari. What does the word adhikari mean? Qualification. If you're a beginning devotee, you may be struggling just to control the senses, just to chant 16 rounds, just to get up early in the morning and attend the morning program. So then you may pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to give you some strength. You may have within your consciousness problems with lust or anger or greed. So you pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to remove those demoniac tendencies. So your prayers to Krishna, Jagannath, Nrsimhadev depends actually on your qualification. We read in the 7th canto that Prahlad was praying to Lord Nrsimhadev for the benefit of the conditioned souls. That's a very high prayer. He wasn't praying for himself. He was praying actually for other living entities. And Prabhupada many times has quoted from the 7th canto and used the example of Prahlad many times in his lectures. So your prayers to the Lord depends on your qualification. So one may also pray to serve the Guru. These are all bona fide prayers. One may pray that one can serve one's Guru. Shishi Radha Radhanath Ki Jai. One may pray to serve one's Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru. All of us have as our Param Guru, Srila Prabhupada. One may pray to become an instrument in the service of Prabhupada, which means one serves his personal preaching mission, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So our prayers can be very different. And as you become more advanced, you may have an aspiration and become attached to a particular incarnation of God. So there are many Vaishnavas in our line who became very attached to Nrsimhadev and desired to associate with Nrsimhadev. So Nrsimhadev worship is Vaikuntha worship. It's awe and reverence, Nrsimhadev. It is not spontaneous devotional service, but it is completely bona fide. And there's a wonderful example of an associate of Lord Chaitanya called Purushottama Thakur. So attached to Lord Nrsimhadev that Lord Chaitanya changed his name to Nrsimhananda. He's in the list of associates of Lord Chaitanya and Adi Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 10. Purushottama Thakur. His name was changed to Nrsimhananda. So one may also pray to Nrsimhadev for this. It depends on what level we're on. Generally, devotees will pray to Lord Nrsimhadev, please eradicate my demon-like desires. Allow me to become more attached to the holy name. We may also pray for our family members. One can do that. One can expand that. Pray for one's community. Pray for the Vaishnava community. For instance, in South Africa we have so many devotees. Pray for their benefit. Pray for the benefit of the devotees, spiritual benefit of the devotees in Ukraine who are being somewhat difficult situation. And one may go as high as Prahlad Maharaj, who prayed for all living entities. But these were not just words, it was from the heart. But then Prahlad is a Mahabhagavat. We are not Mahabhagavats. We're lower down. Our goal is Uttama Bhakti, or a high-class devotee, but we are actually, honestly, practically, we're on a lower level. And we are rendering what is called mixed devotion, Misra Bhakti. And we want to go up to Shuddha Bhakti, pure Bhakti. But this is not achieved in a weekend. It may take a little time. So prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev depends on what you want. What is your desire? What is your qualification? Previously, a month ago, we had the situation, we had the appearance of Lord Ramachandra. And I mentioned Ramachandra, Sita Ram, went into the forest, Dandakaranya. And in that forest, there were 60,000 sages. And when the sages saw Ram, they immediately thought of Gopal. All these sages, 60,000, were in Madhurya Ras. And they saw Ram, and immediately it reminded them, it's called an udipan. Udipan means something which stimulates your love for the Lord. So the Istadev, the worshipful Lord of all 60,000, was Gopal. Krishna as a young boy, blackish body in Vrindavan. And when they saw Sita, it reminded them of who? Radharani. So these thoughts were in their mind. But they were sages. And Ramchandra and Sita understood their desires. Because God, He actually tends to know everything, unlike us. He actually knows everything. So He immediately knew what the sages were thinking. And they were all simultaneously thinking, let me become the devotee of Gopal. Not Ram, not Nrsimhadev. Gopal and Vrindavan. And Ramchandra agreed, but not verbally. Just in his mind he said, yes, I bless you all that in the future you will take birth as gopis. From 60,000 sages with long beards and loincloths, and definitely very skinny. You're living in a forest, so you're not getting Mahaprasad every day. From that to being young gopis. And Ramchandra allowed it. And these 60,000 sages are so famous, they're called Rishi Chari Gopis. They have a name. Rishi means like a Muni. So they're called the Rishi Chari Gopis or the Muni Chari Gopis. And they're referred to in the Padma Purana and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries on the 10th canto. So I'm giving an analogy now. If Ramchandra can bless you to take birth, not in Ayodhya, but Vrindavan, as an eternal associate of Radharani, as a gopi, cannot Lord Nrsimhadev also bless you? Is there really any difference? Nrsimhadev is God, Ramchandra is God. So, if it's your desire, you can also pray to Nrsimhadev for this. But this would be actually a very high class of prayer. And for most of us, a little difficult to emulate. But still, I felt the need to say it. So Nrsimhadev is very wonderful. He can protect. He protected Prahlad. Prahlad was persecuted. His father tried to kill him. Shravanam, Kirtanam, next one, Smaranam. Prahlad represents Smaranam. His father and the demons are coming to kill him, and what does he do? Smaranam. He is the personification of Smaranam. He just quietly meditated on Nrsimhadev. Radha Radhanath ki jai. Lakshmi Nrsimhadev ki jai. So we follow in the footsteps of Prahlad. And if we worship Nrsimhadev, he can give us protection. We should understand that that protection is spiritual. Because we're not this body. And the body is here today and gone tomorrow. As Prabhupada said, what is the difficulty with death? A few days more, a few days before. Death is inevitable. As you change your clothes, you will change your body. But Nrsimhadev, Jagannath, Radharanath, they protect you, and you are the soul. But it's the nature of this body to get disease. I read on the Google, now they've admitted in America 1 million people have died from COVID. It could be more, but they've officially recognized 1 million people. So it could be disease. Oh, you know the biggest enemy to the human being is a mosquito. It's that small little thing, you know, that flies around and you hear it in the ear. It's our deadliest enemy. Over 1,000 people die every day from malaria given by the female mosquito. It's the female species which is more dangerous. I know because I sit outside in the garden and they're always buzzing around. So I chant Hare Krishna to them and then put on the peaceful sleep. So disease, we're seeing AIDS. As you well know, South Africa is the epicenter in the entire world for tuberculosis, the highest rate, and AIDS. The highest rate for these two diseases, South Africa. So disease is rampant, violence, and the body is aging every day. The sun rises, the sun sets. One day less to live. So the intelligent person will surrender to the Lord in his different incarnations and practice Krishna consciousness before we get too old. Because when you get too old, then Alzheimer's comes, Parkinson's comes. You can't climb the steps to Shishi Radharanath. You can't take the prasad because you don't have any teeth. You can't hear properly what the guru is saying because you become hard of hearing. Everything becomes difficult. Even getting out of bed, you have to get momentum and roll out. The whole body slows down. Old age. And it happened to Prabhupada, happened to Gaur Govinda Maharaj. It'll happen to all of you. And we've seen recently with His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj. Very serious. 2 weeks in ICU. And at one point his blood pressure was 60. Is it 60/42 or something like that? So it can come at any time at all. Srila Bhakti True Maharaj has left us. We will also leave. Of course, they have new rejuvenated bodies like Bhakti True Maharaj in Krishna's pastimes. So really there's no cause to lament. But on the other hand, there is cause to lament because they're Vaishnavas and they've left our association. Perhaps it's being a little selfish. They're in a better place, the Lord's pastimes. But we also hanker for their association. So death is a very real thing. Old age, we know it. And disease, it's all around us. So the intelligent person will think, let me practice spiritual life where I'm a little younger, perhaps, a little more active. Let me practice. And one should practice as seriously as you can without becoming diverted. So Nrsimhadev, we worship Lord Nrsimhadev. He's a person. You have to try to visualize. God is a person, and he can appear in any form he wants. So I just want to read this, finishing off by reading this description. Text 17, translation. To prove the statements of his servant Prahlad was substantial. In other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere. Right? God is everywhere. Even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead exhibited a wonderful form never seen before. The form is neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in a wonderful form. So to prove that God is everywhere, he appeared within a pillar. There's no information of Lord Nrsimhadev's father Is there any information of his mother? See, this is Vaikuntha. Now you go up to Ayodhya, which spiritually actually is superior, although absolute. It's quite confusing sometimes. Absolute. But when you go to Ayodhya, Ramchandra has father. Agreed? Ramchandra has mother. And then when you go to Vrindavan, Krishna has father, he has mother, he has brother. He has friends. Who are the friends of Krishna in Vrindavan? Actually, there's billions. But how many can we think of? 5 or 6. Sudama, Subal. Anyone? Vasudama. Madhumangal. What does Madhumangal like? Laddu. Bhadrasena. Balaram. Virabhadra. Amsu. Arjuna. But not Arjuna on the chariot. That's an expansion. The original Arjuna, coward boy. But we don't hear about Nrsimhadeva's friends. Because it's a different mood. But if one is particularly attached to Nrsimhadev, and Nrsimhadev becomes your Istadev, it's perfect. I got that name wrong. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's Pradyumna Mishra. Pradyumna Mishra became renamed Nishingananda. So I just want to read a bit more of this. Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Nrsimhadev standing before him was. Now we're going to get a description. So we try to see this picture. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes. So I mentioned, when you become angry, the eyes squint, become red. So his eyes resembled molten gold. His shining mane, which expanded the dimension of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, and his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like the caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, and his chest was broad. His waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus, and other natural weapons. So this is how we can meditate on Nrsimhadev. But also one can meditate on Nrsimhadev when he has a more peaceful mood, when Prahlad is sitting on his lap. Either way, it will benefit you. It's going to benefit you. So we should take advantage of tomorrow. Pray to Lord Nrsimhadev and pray according to your qualification. And he can reciprocate and answer your prayers. He can definitely do that. And Prabhupada himself, the main Siksha Guru within ISKCON, emphasized the worship of Nrsimhadev, introduced it. So we have to take that emphasis very seriously, because our line, it's all through Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Kokishore, Bhaktivinoda. It's through Prabhupada. This is the appropriate way we'll make advancement. Lakshmi Nrsimha Dev ki jai. Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Would you like to ask any questions or make a comment?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I was just wondering, since we can understand that when the Lord appears in his various incarnations and